We all have stories to tell, don't we? We all have stories to tell, and there's a great deal of collective wisdom in the room. And one of the poems that was submitted for this competition was called Solidarity. So what I'd like to say is, let's stand in solidarity with each other and stand in solidarity with those people on that road to recovery. Thank you. Yeah, it is personal. Yeah. So we collaborate with CNWL on something called Speakeasy, an inpatient magazine dedicated to the role of art and creative writing to help recovery. And the idea for Healing Words came out of that. A huge number of poems were submitted, well over 300, and heartfelt thanks to everyone that contributed. Most of the poems were from London, but some of them came from further afield, Luton, Bedfordshire, and there were even some from abroad. We got one from New York, one from Florida, a couple from India, so that was really interesting. What I think is interesting as well is that the competition was open to people, not just people with, that have struggled with mental health problems, but also carers too. And a number of carers submitted poems, which were really heartfelt as well. Interestingly, about 20 or so poems came in as videos, and that's great as well. And we'll be showing some of those on the loop later on. I think we've got headphones so that you can listen. The standard of the poems was incredibly high, and the judges will tell you about that. Incredibly high, and we've displayed all the poems in the form in which they were submitted around the room. And what I'm hoping is that we can use this as a kind of a mobile display afterwards. We're certainly going to display some of the poems in our office, and perhaps partner organisations will too. About half the people that wrote poems are in this room tonight, but so many people wanted tickets that we had to turn some people away, unfortunately. But what we're going to do is make sure that they get their certificate. We're also videoing, so we'll make sure that they get a kind of a video record of tonight's proceedings as well. So just a quick word on the Advocacy Project before we get started. We're a London-based charity that makes sure that people whose circumstances are difficult, people whose circumstances make them vulnerable, can speak up, that they know their rights, and they can make informed choices about what happens in their life. And we think that when people know about, can speak up, voice, rights and choice, then real change can happen. We work with people with mental health problems, with eating disorders, people with dementia. You get the picture. About 40% of our staff have got lived experience of the issues that we work on, and about 50% of our trustees do too. And we're really proud of that, because we think that builds trust and empathy with the people that we work with. So let's meet the judges. Claire Murdoch, unfortunately, can't be here tonight. She's the CEO of CNWL and the NHS England champion for mental health. However, we're delighted that Mike is here in her place. He's representing Claire, and we'll read a short message from her. Mike's a great supporter of ours, and he and I hatched the idea for this evening, so I'm grateful, Mike. Thank you. So, Mike, would you like to come and introduce yourself?
Thank you very much. I'm Mike Waddington. Claire, unfortunately, couldn't be here tonight, but she did pick one of the winners. She is the National Director for Mental Health, and she made a little video that is on everybody's website when she talks about how poetry was part of her professional and clinical experience from the very first days that she started as a mental health nurse, and it's something that continues to inspire her now. And she says in particular that people who've got so much to say and have got so much talent find the form of poetry a way of containing some of that and being able to get this thing inside them out there in the public. But in doing so, it touches so many other people and has such a big effect on them. This is Claire phoning me now, actually. And it does have it really touches so many people in so many ways. And she thinks that this is a brilliant idea. It's something that we should promote even further, and it's something that we're hoping NHS England are going to take up and make it an even bigger festival that celebrates the talent as well as the experience and lifestyle of people who've had difficulties with their mental health over many years. And I think that's a great thing to do, and I really think this is a terrific festival tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. So Professor Alex Warwick from University of Westminster is passionate about English literature, creative writing, and she knows from academic research the role that creative writing and poetry can play in well-being, both mental and physical. And Alex and I are looking at how we can work together to give students at Westminster kind of experience of writing as a kind of pathway to employment, early stage, but with the stories that, you know, people in the room can tell and your students, I think we've got something really exciting. But Alex, please come and introduce yourself.
I just really want to say thank you to everyone who submitted poems, everyone who wrote in. It's really hard to look at that piece of white paper and put your pen down on it, or look at that keyboard and that blank screen and press that first button, especially when what you're writing is coming out from inside you rather than just being a description of the world that you're in. I know what courage it takes to press that button on the keyboard or to put that pen to paper. And it's such a fantastic privilege to have the kind of role that I have, which is to see students do that and to be part of a competition like this in which I can see that act of courage, that act of bravery from so many other people. And what you're saying about the work between the university and people in the Advocacy Project, there is no inside and outside of the university when there's writing involved. The students have as much to learn from everybody outside as the people outside do from teachers and professors like me. So there is no division between us. And thank you all for taking that act, taking that step, and putting your pen on paper and sending your poems in.
Okay, I'd like to introduce Mel Scaglierini now. Mel's an NGO worker, blogger and writer, champion of women's rights and gender equality. And you might have seen her powerful writing on Huffington Post and the really powerful video that she made in support of tonight. I know that someone that watched Mel's video had tears rolling down their cheeks. It really spoke to them. It was so powerful. They were so moved. Mel.
Hi everyone, it's a real pleasure to be here. I just want to echo what Alex said actually. It was such an honour and a real privilege to read through the poems that came through, and it was such a sense of responsibility as well. So how do you go through them? What do you do? What are you selecting from them? And all I really want to say is, as someone who struggles with mental health every single day, you know, I hope that everyone who used this outlet of creativity that continues to do so, because I find it a real vessel for what I'm feeling, and I hope everyone else can continue to do it as well who submitted poems. So thank you.
So I'd like to introduce Jill Manley now. Jill's a jazz singer and an actress. She had an 8-year residency at Ronnie Scott's. She's a radio presenter and currently starring in a West End production as Betty Davis. She's got an amazing voice, and one of my enduring memories is Jill dedicating her version of I'd Rather Go Blind to Me in the jazz club in Dean Street. So thank you for that, Jill. Can you come and introduce yourself?
Do you know, it's a very strange place, this building. I'm sort of beginning to have nightmares. I feel I've been transported to a roller disco in Brighton in the 1970s. It's very weird. Anyway, what I want to tell you is that you were all extraordinary in your revelations on paper, to the point where it was impossible to make decisions, and I don't know how many cigarettes I puffed on, how many cups of tea I drowned myself in, and how many times I screamed at the cats to get that off me. But it was really hard, one of the hardest things I've done all year. So, and that's saying something. Anyway, so from the bottom of my heart to yours, thank you very much.
And our final judge, Joanna Scanlon, writer and actress. Her list of credits is really impressive, ranging from The Other Boleyn Girl, Bridget Jones' Baby, but my personal favourite is No Offence, where as Viv, a really gritty police officer, changes clothes in front of her her colleagues, and wow, that underwear, girl after my own heart. So, Joanna.
Thank you very much. It's worth just noting, if that is the case, that No Offence is your favourite show that I'm in, that is written by somebody who's bipolar and acknowledged as such, and has done a lot, actually, for communicating his wonderful creative imagination through some very, very enormously successful television. But put that to one side. Thank you so much for asking me to be part of this process. It's an irony that we're here, for me, in just off Tooley Street tonight. It could have been anywhere in London, I imagine, but the very first place that I came to for help with some serious depression was Guy's Hospital. And my taxi driver tonight, you get in a black cab, don't you? Black cab, I note, in this building specifically. I get in a black cab to get me here on time, and blow me, but he drops me about 15 minutes away and says, sorry, love, I can't get up Tooley Street because it's all jammed up with the roadworks. But that was a beautiful thing, because it meant that I walked past Guy's, and I walked past that department that had helped me many, many years ago. And there have been many, many other people who've helped me on my journey with mental health, a number of different, spectrum, if you like, of mental health challenges, which in their own way are rather fruitful. They've been fruitful for me. And I think the poetry that you have written is another example of that bearing fruit out of something that's an inner life that may be very hard to express. And I'd like to thank you for having got yourselves into the position where you can suspend that critic on your shoulder that says, I'm going to write a load of poo, it's shit, I don't want to do this, everybody's going to laugh at me, or whatever that voice is that any writer and any creative person has to deal with. I'd like to thank you for just not listening to that voice sufficiently to give us all what is really a remarkably truthful and beautiful set of words. Thank you.
So we've organised the poetry competition with CNWL, fantastic partners, grateful to them for their help and advice. They've donated book tokens as prizes, and the Carers Council also donated £50 towards the prizes. Grateful to the University of Westminster for their support too. They've donated some cinema tickets from their historic Regent Street cinema. And other organisations have really helped make tonight the occasion that it is. Media Citizens, they do a lot of work with creativity and mental health, particularly children and adults' mental health across London. They're donating their time filming tonight for free, so very grateful to them for that. Lutyens and Rubenstein, Kensington and Chelsea-based bookseller, they've donated the overall prize, quite a large book token, but also a reading concierge service where you get somebody that kind of sits you down with a cup of tea and talks about the sort of things that you're interested in and then advises on the books. So thank you to them as well. And Simon Cohen from Simon Inc., who's done the work on these amazing boards just displaying the poems. Again, Simon's donated all his work for free, and MX Display printed the boards at cost. So, you know, a lot of people have really got behind this and really helped make it look absolutely amazing. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone before we do the judging. So, here we are, now's the time. So I'd like each judge to tell us about the poem that appealed to them the most, the poem that spoke to them the most. We can't say it's the best poem because they're all absolutely incredible, but the one that spoke to them the most. So I think we've got first Joanna with Best Illustrated, and then I think Mel's going to read that.
I had the lovely task of reading through the poems, but also looking at the images that became part of the poem, because this is the best illustrated poem, and the amount of relationship between image and artwork and words was actually very, very difficult to work through in terms of saying what appealed the most, or what kind of criteria I could possibly exercise. So they are so beautiful. You can see them, you know, they're standing out on the boards because they have such a strong visual component. So there were some that are photographs, some that are video, applique, crayons, drawings. I mean, it was real apples and pears, very hard to compare. The winner, the poem that spoke to me, and it's a cliche, isn't it, to say everyone's a winner, but I genuinely think that's the case. And because the process is so much more important than the end product, the process of writing. But the winner on this occasion is Chris Bird's poem, Hiding Places. Would you like me to give the certificate now? Chris, would you like to come and collect your certificate? I just wanted to say to you, Chris, how much I feel your poem and your illustration, which is just around that corner, if anybody would like to look at it afterwards, is the two things come together so beautifully. The words, which are very simple but very strong, very powerful, very direct, and your beautiful cartoon illustration is an absolute kind of example of what you're talking about in the words. And the two things for me, that's why I loved it so much, the two things were one. You also have quite, I wouldn't say, it's a sort of slightly melancholy, downbeat element to it, and that always speaks to me. I love a good weep, I love a good cry, I love to think things don't always have to turn out happy. And that poem has such almost a realism about it that I like very, very much. So
Thanks
many
very
congratulations.
Much. Thank you, everyone.
And the runner-up? The runner-up, yes? Yes. So we also have a runner-up in this category, which is Rosie Cappuccino and her poem, No Apology. Is Rosie here? Thank you so much, Rosie. Well done. Well done. That's wonderful. Thank you very much.
So I have the honour of reading Hiding Places by Chris Bird. We hide in the streets. We hide in houses, apartments and flats. We hide in jobs. We hide in routines and TV. We hide on tube trains. We hide on shirts. We hide in shirts and ties. Some men hide in violent disorder and alcohol. Some people hide in spiteful comments or hate crime. We have learned to hide in families, in names, in traditions, or religion. We hide in heroin and cocaine. We hide in prison, in art, in rap music, in jazz and blues, in shoplifting, in theft and crime. All human creatures learn to hide, hoping never to be found. Thanks.
Yeah, she's back. Noisy. Hello. Right, so at the risk of repeating what everyone else is going to say, you're all brilliant. And I had the biggest category, didn't I? You did. I did. I worked extremely hard. Actually, it didn't feel like work, to be honest with you. But the category was Darkest Days. So you can imagine reading 150 poems of people's darkest days can take its toll. And the thing is that you have to find a way to identify something that makes something stand out when it's also brilliant anyway. And I found it very quickly. It didn't take long, actually. There was just 2 lines in the winner's poem that just did that. And it sent a shudder through my very soul. Because I don't have kids, you see. And which is probably just as well, because it would have been a complete nightmare. And this spoke to people who have a problem, mental health problem or illness, but still have to take care of little people. And that really kind of took my breath away. Gosh, I never had that. So, yeah, it choked me up. So, I'm going to tell you that the winner of the Darkest Days category, who unfortunately isn't here, is Lee Barker. And his poem is called Living a Lie. He can't make it, but he sent a wee message, and he says, I have suffered from depression for a few years now. Poetry has helped me express myself with my feelings. It helps me when I'm having a bad time. So, shall I say the runner-up as well when I read it? Okay, all right, sorry. Not very disciplined, am I? Anyway, so then I had to find another, the runner-up, and again, very difficult. But the runner-up, unfortunately, doesn't live over here, otherwise I'm sure they might have been here. But the runner-up was Crystal Weldon for a piece called The Words I Speak, and again, another one that just hit me completely in the face. So, brilliant category, and thank you for all those that entered that one. It was amazing. So, listen, I'm not an expert on poetry. All I know is that it gives me a lot of freedom, and I hope some of you have experienced that in engaging with it. So this is Living a Lie. Walking into a typhoon, swimming against the tide, that's just how it feels. When my truth I have to hide. Pretending you're really happy, when inside you want to cry. Feeling unbelievably low, but your exterior shows you're high. Forgetting how to feel happy, because your default is set to sad. Forgetting all the good times, just remembering the bad. not wanting to leave the house or talk to anyone today. I can't see a way out of this. Maybe I'd be better off dead. A feeling of guilt arises. The 2 lives depend on me. My special boys I love so much. If only they could see these dark thoughts I have inside, the bad things I want to do, the hurt I cause to myself. These scares upset me too. The one wish that I have is my kids never feel this pain or the feeling of self-hatred under dark clouds filled with rain. As I look into the future, the old me will resurrect one day. I'll then smile a real smile and say, hey, I really do feel good today.
Thank you. I was part of the judging for Good Days and Bad Days. There was, I think, 70 poems in the first batch, and we shortlisted 69 of them. So it was an exceptionally hard job to sort out. First of all, the runner-up tonight for his poem, Not a Survivor, is Daniel Gold. But I know Daniel can't be with us tonight because he's at home in Mountain Ash in Wales. So that's very good. But the winner is a poem. It was chosen in the end by Claire Murdoch because she thought it was a beautiful piece of yearning, the fear of tomorrow, the determination to be who you want to be. And the poem, I'm going to read it now before I announce the winner, is called For Emily. If I could touch tomorrow, should I fall down again or fail to see whatever there is to see, would I remember then, as if by chance, to catch a glance beyond this masquerade? The briefest glimpse of all pending sorrow, I would lose that frown, put on my gown, if I could touch tomorrow. The winner in this category for Good Days and Bad Days is Paul Segru. He was here. Paul was here earlier on. Oh, he's here, he comes now. I'll come down to you, Paul.
My category, the category that I had to judge, was called Being Well, which in some ways was less difficult to read than the other judges had. But what struck me most about all of the poems, really, that I was looking at was the quietness of them and the simplicity of many of them and the tiny details that seemed to mean so much to the people that had written those poems, just single moments in days, little experiences that were the markers of being well or being in better times. So it was a really enjoyable experience to read those and to feel that sense of simple pleasure just in feeling well again. So the runner-up in the Being Well category was Julia Austin for a poem called Tuesday's Child. And I think, is someone here with Julia this evening? No, we thought that perhaps somebody was going to come up and take Julia's certificate, but we'll make sure that she gets it. So the winner in this category was a poem called Now and Then, and I'll read that now. Now and then, I take a moment to stop and feel myself breathe. The rise of my chest opening, drawing in life. Then slowly I let it fall in setting the breath free. I do it tens of thousands of times every single day, but I only stop to notice now and then. And the winner is Ella Bridgman. And she can't be here either, but we'll be putting a lot of certificates in the post, I think.
Hi. So the last part of this award ceremony is some of the special commendations. Dominic Gray was a spoken word entry, which was incredible to listen to. And unfortunately, he can't be here today, but his senior occupational therapist, Michael, is going to come. And I've left his certificate.
People often ask me, why would I want to work as a senior occupational therapist in a psychiatric intensive care unit? And it's quite chaotic, and it can be quite an intense environment. I always say I can bring things I love, like creative writing, videography, spoken word stuff, music. So what I did was I encouraged people to submit. We submitted 15 written poems and I think 5 spoken word videos. And I put one in myself to encourage people to do it. And then I say to people, there are these beautiful moments I have, and this is one of those. So I'd like to dedicate this to the 2 guys that are here with me as well, from my amazing ward, amazing team, that really encouraged all of this. And they were so chuffed when I said I was going to take guys down here, and I told them about this commendation. And this is for Dominic too, who can't be here, but I can't really do his performance justice. You have to see it yourself. But he explained to me that the madmen that he talks about here are the doctors and the nurses on the ward. So this is called How Do You Feel? How do you feel? These mad men always ask me, so boy, how do you feel? Well, I say, answering a question with a slight grin and a blank stare, well, what do I feel like? I feel like the morning sun, when a flock of birds wake and sing their chirps in the air, when a rabbit runs along a grassy green field or mates like a hare. I feel like a bird's first smell of pollen in the morning air. I feel like a child's first visit to the zoo or a baby's first taste of a fresh green pear. How do I feel? I feel like a gem that's rare, with only goodness in my heart and evil everywhere. On the inside, I guess I'm doing good, but my situation is proving that life's not fair.
Many of the people that the Advocacy Project works with live around Grenfell Tower, and some even lived in the tower. So we'd like to mention Zakia Ford. She wrote a moving poem as a living tribute to her friend that she lost in the fire. Unfortunately, Zakia cannot be here tonight, but her mother, Carol, is here, and we'd like to give the certificate to her. Carol? Oh, thank you so much.
She's going to love this, thank you.
Do you want to say that?
No, nothing to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, the honour falls to me of reading the overall winner tonight and being able to present the person who's won with her certificate, and to remind you her grand prize, which is the opportunity to have a personal discussion with what's called a concierge in a bookshop, Lutyens and Rubinstein in Chelsea, which I gather is then you can buy as many books as you want. Or let's say, I don't know if that's entirely true, but let's make it true. This poem spoke to all the judges. Each person had a category, but then we all came together to choose the overall winner. And there's something about the honesty and the clarity and the craftsmanship that speaks volumes in this poem. So I would like to ask the winner of the poem, The Cage, who presented her poem in a video form, if she would come onto the stage to collect her certificate. Hannah Lewis. Here's your certificate.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. So this is Hannah Lewis, and as I said, she presented her poem in the form of a video. So I did wonder why, I can't possibly be her, and she did it so well. But she insists that it's okay for me to read it out. So if you'll bear with me, I will do so. The Cage. I can see it. I can see the life I want to live. But there's something stopping me, which I can't forgive. I'm trapped in this cage, and I feel so restrained. I want to be better, but I'm shackled. I'm chained. The restraint that I feel is too much to bear. Doesn't even matter what clothes I wear. I'm chained to you, body dysmorphic disorder. And the things you say to me are like a broken recorder. You're so fat. You're so ugly. You make children cry. You're deformed, you're hideous. You deserve to die. For so long you said this, and so I believed that if I was to disappear, the world would be relieved. The cage is my body, scratched at and picked. They tell me to stop, but I'm an addict. With my hand down my throat and tears in my eyes, look what I do because of your lies. Let me out! Let me out! I kick and scream. I'm out of the cage. Is this but a dream? I'm no longer anxious, nauseous or numb. I appreciate the human that I've become. I have marks on my body where the shackles once were, but I'm adamant. Self-hatred will not recur. For I'm out of the cage, and my body is healing. And this freedom I have is a wonderful feeling.
I watched your video, you were in my category, and and as I said, it went baff. That was the moment. So well done, so well done. And thank you for talking about something that is very shameful. Had the same problems for 40 years, love. No, exactly. But, just what a hero, what a star. Well done. And you're all heroes. You're amazing and magnificent. I love you. Thank you so much.
Wow, wasn't that incredible? Thank you, Jill, and thanks to everyone. It was a really moving evening. So let's try and keep this energy going. As I said, we're certainly going to have mobile exhibitions of the poems in different venues around London. We're going to try and raise the funds to get to publish a book of the poems. We need to apply to trusts and that kind of thing, but fingers crossed we can do that. So we'll have a book that we can see everyone's contributions in, which will be amazing. And let's keep supporting each other. Let's keep supporting each other on that journey to recovery. And on that note, I just want to say thank you to everyone. Please stay around. I think there's still food left, something to drink. But before we do that, let's just applaud everyone that contributed. Healing words. Great. Thanks, everyone. Thanks.
So, just tell me what tonight has meant for you.
Other people just articulating the same pain I've been through, really, and how you shared experiences. I still haven't found the right definition, but it's the search and the camaraderie. And I go to a poetry group on Tuesdays in St Charles Hospital, and it's listening to everybody's pain. It brings you, gets you through some dark times when you realise you're not alone.
And for these poems to be celebrated?
Some of them are absolutely wonderful. They're all good, just some are like anything. They strike a right note, the winner blew my socks off, to be honest. But it's also hearing somebody else read your poems, and what they get out of it. Because no matter who you are, it's not how you wrote it, it's a different opinion.
And for them to be heard on a bigger stage, for this to be City Hall?
I think that's going to be too sort of deep, but that's the whole world wants to be heard. Every individual who ever lived, that's what you scream at, But most of us don't get the chance. And if you get a little chance, I decided to take it myself and listening to other people do the same thing. We're all screeching out, me, listen to me, just once.
And I think you can be as deep as you want tonight.
And that's how I feel always about poetry. I'm a big Emily Dickinson fan. And 150 years later, I'm listening to her talking to me and telling me what she was going through, Just the slightest, tiniest thing can turn your head. And I love it.
All right, well, thank you very much.
I think as service users, we always have so much to say, and it's quite rare that we're listened to. So I think that's been really amazing. It's been really flattering to be the winner. I didn't expect that one. I'm quite new into poetry. I've always been more into creative writing and blogging and stuff, so it was really flattering that my poem was chosen amongst all these amazing entries. Everyone's entry is really incredible and really moving. So it was just really, great feeling. Feel on top of the world.
Right, I know I said it was one question, but I thought of another
Keep
one.
them coming.
So what does it feel like for your words to be out for other people to hear? What impact do you think you can have?
Initially it's exposing, very exposing, but what I want from it is for people to relate. I want people to realise that body image and eating disorders aren't the vain disorders that people think they are. They are a mental health illness, just like everything else. And I think it also, my poem makes, it acknowledges the comorbidities that can come with a single diagnosis. So I think it's important to sort of open the discourse of categorisation within psychiatry as well. We're not just a label, we don't fit into a neat DSM box. We're people as well, and we have voices.
Great, thank you.
Okay, is that right?
I'm just looking at